Integrated Energy Management Sustainability, Realizing a Sustainable Future. And for this, I would like to invite on stage Mr. Pradeep Saxena, who is the Global Delivery Senior Director and India Operations Head Infrastructure, Cloud and Security at NTT Data Services. Giving a brief introduction, Mr. Pradeep is managing large diversified portfolio with a team size of over 1400 plus spread across 10 plus countries in direct managing capacity, covering end-to-end delivery and operations. With a team size of 5,000 plus in India and in Matrix managed capacity, he ensures quality delivery to 40 plus accounts in direct capacity, covering BFSI, healthcare and commercial verticals. He is skilled in business planning, driving operational excellence, risk management, etc. With this, please welcome Mr. Pradeep with a huge round of applause.
Good afternoon. So today, again, I'm going to talk about something non-technical. This is sustainability, realizing a sustainable future, right? So, yeah. So, climate change or global warming is becoming the number one challenge for our society, for our generation to come. If I look at the talks from the CXO level, nearly 93% of the CXO are actually talking about this topic, but they do not know what to do, how to do, and how to measure that. It's a very important topic, but awareness level is quite low. If I look at how NTT Data actually, my organization is trying to align the environmental, social, and the business part of it, combining together, we are trying to create a great framework which actually addresses all of these. Now, looking at the climate change, right? Most of the data centers or anywhere we are seeing a lot of the power consumption which is coming through the fossil fuel, right? This is one of the biggest source of climate change contributor. At the same time, there is a need for societal changes. There's a lot of inequality. There is a lot of diversity which is missing in most of the corporates. There is a need for equity also important, right? Which is also missing. So how we can do that, combining all together and making a very sustainable world to live. Now, I was talking about the global warming, and if I look at the carbon dioxide emission, which is one of the most contributor to the climate change, some of the countries' profile, you can see how they are contributing as of today towards the global warming. And if I look at most of the spikes you can see after 1950, 1960 time frame, which is the post industrial revolution of our time, right? If I talk about the 1950, 1960 time frame, we were total 6 billion tons of the emission was happening across the world. And as of today, if I look at that, it's 36 billion, nearly 6 times of what used to be the case of the pre-industrial revolution time. So this is quite alarming because of the CO2 emission or global warming. We are seeing extreme climatic changes. Sea levels are rising, glaciers are melting, and Earth temperature is also getting warm day-on-day basis. I was looking at one of the news channel yesterday, and they were talking about the glacier melting, right? And that's the accelerated melting. One of the researchers from Canada, he has the opinion that the speed the glaciers are melting as of today, that might trigger another pandemic. In terms of, there are a lot of viruses, probably they are, inside the ice, they may come up and they start creating some sort of problems. There are viruses probably which are there for several hundreds of years inside the glacier, which can come out and probably may become the reason for the next. These are some of the research, pointers. I'm not saying that that may be going the case, but yes, these are some of the pointers which actually asking us to think through, what's happening as of today, and as an organization, as an individual, what our responsibilities are towards the climate changes to control. One of the important points which I just wanted to talk about, in the Paris Agreement back in 2015, with the best of the most scientific data, this was an agreement that let's try to control the temperature of Earth, average temperature of Earth by 2 degrees Celsius, or maybe try to close it by 1.5 degrees Celsius. And to achieve that is something which we have to start working right now, immediately, at fast pace. The way global warming is taking place, some of the researchers are saying time is already passed by which we can control the global warming by 1.5% by the end of this century, right? Now, considering that there is a net zero impact, net zero means the amount of carbon dioxide you are releasing to the atmosphere, you are trying to reduce by the same amount, right? That's a net zero. And most of the organizations globally, they have targeted for coming to the net zero level by 2050. And if I look at the 2050 time frame, which means by 2030 you should be able to reduce 45% of the carbon emission to the pre-industrial level, right? That's the where actually, if we are able to achieve that, we should be able to achieve net zero by 2050. So there is a lot of countries' commitment, organizations' commitment, and there are strategies are being worked towards it. Now, let's look at the ESG regulations, which has evolved over a period of time. The ESG part not only addresses the climate change situation, at the same time it also addresses the social component to it. Back in 1980s, we were calling it environment, health and safety. There are regulations, guidelines created around it, and intent is to control the pollution of created by some of the growing industries. At the same time, also keep in mind some of the people's or labor's health and safety regulations. That evolved by 1919 in the name of corporate sustainability, right? And some of the management side of it, they were over-aggressive. They thought, whatever the regulations, we are trying to get it through the EHS, let's try to surpass that. But what has happened, after some time, people started realizing that this strategy people mostly are using for misrepresenting the data or over-communicating about their, to improve their brand. And this, we call it greenwashing. Something did not work out very well, but this further evolved back into 2000 and 2010 time frame, which we call it corporate social responsibility. And there actually we try to bring more social component, social justice, poverty, education, health, all these things are actually got inside this corporate social responsibility, which is very popular even these days. But there is another level of happen, and we call it environmental social governance right now. And this is more of a proactive approach where we are trying to address the social and environmental challenges. At the same time, there is a governance which is required. In earlier cases, there wasn't any governance, there wasn't any sort of transparency to what organizations are doing, or nobody was knowing whether we are heading in the right direction or there is some false reporting happening. But there is a conscious, consensus taken by the various geopolitical leaders, organizations, and they also committed about not only making the changes to the environment, social, at the same time they are going to be reporting the impact year-on-year basis, and there are going to be assessment on every 5 year by the United Nations body. Now, look at, when it comes to ESG, at the same time, there are 17 different sustainable goals were defined by the United Nations. We wanted to have a sort of aligning these ESG target for our organization with those 17 of the SDG goals, and coming out with a co-value creation for the corporate, at the same time the social, and trying to address these challenges while making sure we are actually leading business fraternity. Now, important here is, if I look at SDGs or ESG management in isolation to the business objectives, it's not going to work, because some other will get, business always going to get the priority. It is important that the framework you create, the business objectives you are going to create, it has to be very much aligned with your, ensuring that you are taking care of the social and environmental causes. Again, right? So it's again accessing opportunities and risks across the whole country. We are focusing around environment, economy, and society, and regenerating ecosystem where we want it to be. Part of this exercise, what we have done for our organization, we have actually identified 9 material risks and where we wanted to focus and work. So whether it is to be with the carbon neutral, it's a circular economy, smart co-innovation, trusted value chain, future of work, or human rights, diversity, equity, equality. These all are actually, we try to create those material risk and opportunities using the sustainable development goals. So each of these action items, while we are trying to bring a change in the global scenario, at the same time they are very much aligned, they are very much reported on the regular basis. So it is very important for, as an organization, to wake up right now and start working towards aligning your business strategies, objectives, using the, making sure that you have properly covered the social and economical part of it. Last but not the least is it's time for us to pledge, right? There is a 5P principle. I got this from the Harvard, one of the research paper, and I thought it's interesting to, and important for all of us to understand. It's really a right time for the race to zero is pledge, plan, proceed, publish, and persuade. All right, with that, thank you so much, and I hope you all going to create some sort of strategies in your organization, making sure that by 2050 we should be able to achieve the net zero target. Thank you so much.